A term we've been hearing a lot these days, packing the court. It's been uttered by our political leaders, maybe a little bit of water cooler talk, but what does it actually mean? We wanted to take a deeper dive into a proposed bill that could add more justices to the Supreme Court. Joining us is our legal contributor, David Hoffman, founder of the Hoffman Law Firm. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
Okay, so right now there are 9 Supreme Court justices, which many people say are plenty, but the camp to the left is wanting to add more. We haven't always had 9 either. So let's talk about the history of the Supreme Court, shall we?
Absolutely. Well, let's see, where do I even begin? The number of justices of the Supreme Court is not set by constitutional amendment. It appears nowhere in the U.S. Constitution that there must be 9. In fact, the Judicial Act of 1789, so right after we became a country, that act put the number at 6. So we only had 6 to start off with. Since that time, and this is going to be a fascinating topic for me because a lot of people are getting very bent out of shape, but the fact of the matter is the number of Supreme Court justices has been like an accordion over history. So we started with 6. In 1801, John Adams, who was a lame duck president at the time, he dropped that number to 5 so that Thomas Jefferson, the great Thomas Jefferson, wouldn't get a pick. Well, as soon as Thomas Jefferson comes in, he increases it back to 7. And then in 1807, before he leaves, he's bumped it up to, he bumped it up to 6. Then before he leaves, he bumps it back up to 7. Then in 1863, I believe, it's even more. Andrew Johnson then ups 2 more. So now we're at 9. Then they added a 10th one for Abraham Lincoln, then dropped it back down so that the successor to Lincoln wouldn't have one. In other words, this is not even a little bit of a foreign topic.
So it's kind of been all over the place, and it sounds like there's been a little manipulation over the years to have a certain number of seats there to accomplish a certain purpose. Now, President Biden, he's developed a commission to study the court, and many people on the left, they want to add 4 more, taking it from 9 to 13. Opponents of this idea, and some justices themselves say that, well, it's been set for more than 150 years at 9, adding seats, it would further politicize the system. I mean, as we come to understand, justices should be neutral no matter what. That's why we never see them standing up or clapping during a presidential address. They're supposed to be neutral. However, many are associated with a more liberal philosophy versus a more conservative philosophy. But adding 4 more here, some people argue that creates a better balance. Do you think it would?
I think, given just simple human nature, these justices are not robots. How many times has Chief Justice Roberts been the deciding vote away from the party of the president who nominated him? How many times they don't stick to a script? I'm actually quite proud of our Supreme Court because it almost seems like once they get in, they become more moderate. I think there's a swing to the middle. Mm-hmm. But you're right about I'm going to mess up the word, the politics being involved, the politicalization. If you'll recall, the last over a year of Obama's administration, Antonin Scalia, the conservative justice, he died. And the Republicans who controlled the Senate, required to nominate or to appoint a justice, they did not even hold a hearing on Merrick Garland, who is by all accounts very, very moderate. But the Republicans wouldn't even hold hearings on Merrick Garland, leaving the number at 8 for well over a year. And their rationale for that as well, when a president is on the way out, you're not supposed to allow them to get an appointment. Well, 2 weeks before Donald Trump left office, they rushed Amy Barrett through. So there's some ill will and some political jockeying on both sides.
And this is a good place to take a break, because when we come back, I want to talk about some other proposed changes. Really interesting. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been chatting with David Hoffman on packing the Supreme Court. The term itself it gets people's ire going, but really when you discuss adding justices to the Supreme Court, right now we've got 9. They want to expand it to 13, some political leaders. But you say it doesn't really matter how many you have. I'm curious, let's go back to our original thought, and why should we care how many are on the highest court?
Well, to be clear, I'm not sure that I would say I just simply don't care. I think the Supreme Court, I think it's very important that the Supreme Court, with the lifetime appointments, I think it's very important for the Supreme Court to stay moderate. And so where the dilemma is coming up, not only, is there conflict about how Merrick Garland was treated, as we discussed in the first segment, with the Electoral College and with the fact that these justices have to be appointed by the Senate. North and South Dakota, 1.6 million people combined. California and New York, 60 million people combined, each have the same number of senators. Yeah. The president in 2016 was not elected by the popular vote. He was elected by the Electoral College. So for that president to have 3 appointments, it's arguably not representing the will of the majority. And that's where the idea of adding a few more comes in. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I don't know why, but I genuinely don't really have an opinion on it, because justices are exceptional legal minds in my view. And I can't really point to a decision where I've been completely offended that hasn't been either overturned or amended shortly thereafter. And so I hold a lot of respect for our Supreme Court justices. The more the merrier in my mind.
Interesting. Now, let's just quickly talk about life terms. When they are appointed, they do serve a life term. This new proposed legislation is wanting to limit it to 18 years to put some kind of age cap on someone who serves on the nation's highest court. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think the longer one stays on the Supreme Court, the wiser they become?
I have a great answer. Let me answer that with almost a legal theory. Can you imagine the decisions over the course of our history that might not have come but for Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Antonin Scalia, justices who served well over 18 years? So where would we be as a country if I think the Supreme Court should remain moderate. I think it should be as depoliticized as humanly possible. That's my view. So
justice is supposed to be blind, David.
That's
justice
right.
Is supposed to be blind and not to take any political side whatsoever.
That's right. And I agree 100% with that.
All right, David. Well, I appreciate your analysis as always.
Well, thank you for having me again.
And there's so much more to talk about on this, I know, but we're so limited on time.
We could go on forever.
We could go on quite literally forever, but we won't this time.
Not this time.
See you next week. We'll be back after this.